Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and today I want to offer a theory about Star Trek Picard, which I might even make into an edit later, which will be like an alternate ending for the show, and the ending will be that it will turn out that the whole show was basically in Picard's head because he has Iromodic Syndrome, which makes him senile, and so it's possible he's only imagining everything that we're seeing, and we actually have something that is kind of like a clue to this in the show, because whenever he's on the ship, he actually lives inside the holodeck in which he recreates his house on Earth where the series started. Which I still don't understand why even they did that. That would just make it confusing for people who don't know the other shows. Maybe people who don't know what the holodeck is. Suddenly they see him back on Earth, maybe they'll misunderstand. And what's the purpose of this? It makes no sense. Picard said he never felt at home there, that he wants to be out in space on a ship. So why does he live inside the holodeck simulating his house? Did they just want to save money on sets or what? So it makes no sense, and I think it could be clever, and maybe they'll do an episode like this in which they might tease us and make us think that the whole show is just in his head. Maybe he has Iromodic Syndrome, and maybe he's imagining this whole adventure. Maybe he never met some of these people, and he's actually sitting alone in his house, talking to the air. And I kind of suspect maybe they will do an episode like that because they did acknowledge that he has that disease in the brain, even though they didn't call it by name. They didn't say it's Iromodic Syndrome, and they only said that it will kill him. They never actually said that it will drive him crazy. But I'm guessing maybe they will do at least one episode with that idea, and I hope they will do that because I think it would be a missed opportunity not to do that kind of episode, at least one episode. And so with this setup of him living in the holodeck simulating his house, they could play with that and say that it will be revealed, or maybe it will be a fake reveal, that he's actually imagining all of this. He's never been to space in this whole show. He's actually been in his house having illusions, hallucinations of being out in space and meeting people who don't really exist. If they will have an episode like that playing around with that idea, then it would justify why they have that setup of him being in the holodeck all the time, in a simulation that looks like his house. That might be an interesting kind of episode with twists, sort of like that episode of TNG which was called Frame of Mind, in which Riker was doing a play about a mental asylum, and then he actually was in that asylum, and he found out that the whole show was just in his head because he's crazy, and then he jumped back and forth and he didn't know what's real or not. That was a brilliant episode in my opinion, so maybe they can do something like that in the show, and then it will explain and justify why they have that setup of him being in the holodeck simulating his house. And if they don't do that, then I will do that in editing because I think it can be done. I think that would be funny, and I do think I can edit that to show him talking to the air, and there's no one there, that he's talking to himself, and he actually never left his house, and the whole show is taking place in his brain and never really happened. And he's actually senile because of that disease, which would fit what we saw in the final episode of TNG called All Good Things, in which people said that he has this disease and he's imagining things and seeing things that aren't there. That might be clever. Now, hopefully maybe they will do something like that in the actual show. That will be a good idea in my opinion if they do it well. So maybe they can do it similarly to how it was done in the last episode of TNG, in which people thought he's been crazy and he himself even doubted himself. They thought maybe he really is crazy, but then in the end it turned out it was all set up by Q and he wasn't really crazy. So if they have something like that in a clever way, that might actually be brilliant. I always loved stories like that in which you can tell what's real or not, especially in science fiction. I love that movie Total Recall, which is ambiguous even till the end. You don't know if it's really all in a simulation or not. And movies such as Shutter Island or Inception, all those kinds of movies which play around with your perception of reality, that's always fun in my opinion. So I hope they'll do something like that in the show. If not, I will definitely do it with editing. So let me know what you think about this idea and we can discuss it in the comment section below. And I will see you all next time. Bye bye.